Hello, welcome to Movie Summaries. Today we are summarizing a 2020 horror and mystery movie called Come Play. Fair warning, there are spoilers in this summary. Enjoy, and be sure to subscribe to watch more videos weekly, and hit like. Oliver is a younger, non-verbal autistic boy who uses a smartphone to communicate with others. In his spare time, Oliver likes to watch SpongeBob SquarePants. Same, bro. Same. He lives with his mother Sarah and dad, Marty. One night, Oliver comes across a strange app on his phone called Misunderstood Monsters, which narrates and depicts a story of a monster named Larry. Larry is a lonely monster who longs for a friend. People make fun of Larry because he is different from others. As Oliver reads Larry's story, the lights in his room start to flicker. Suddenly, all the lights in his room go out, one by one, freaking the kid out. Afraid, Oliver locks the door, but when he returns to his bed, he finds the door open again. He again locks the door and barricades it with his toys. He then hides under his blanket, gasping for air, as someone seemingly tries to open the door. He starts frantically crying. When the blanket is removed, the lights are back on, and Oliver sees his mother trying to calm him down. The next day, Sarah tells Marty about their son's nightmare, and Marty instantly cheers up his son. Although Oliver can't speak, he is very intelligent and senses the tension between his parents. Marty and Sarah's marriage is going through a difficult time, and Marty is moving out. Oliver asks them if they are moving out, but Marty assures him that they will always be there for him. At school, Oliver draws pictures of Larry the monster. Seeing Oliver using his smartphone in the class, other kids get jealous of him. A kid named Mateo later approaches Oliver after class and invites him to play with his friends in the field. Poor Oliver falls for the little punks to see and goes into the nearby field to meet with the boys. Mateo shows up with the boys named Byron and Zach. The trio make fun of Oliver for using a smartphone to communicate. However, Oliver gives it back and tells Byron that he's very ugly. Wow. What jerks. Angered, Byron throws Oliver's phone away and pushes him on the ground before leaving with his gang. Oliver gets up and frantically looks for his phone, but fails to find it. Sarah later finds him in the field screaming and takes him to his regular speech therapy session with Dr. Robin. The therapist asks the boy how he ended up in the field, but the poor kid isn't able to properly communicate his thoughts. Dr. Robin stresses the importance of more social experiences for Oliver in order for him to heal. Sarah reveals that Oliver was friends with Byron, but they got separated after she had a fallout with Byron's mother. Oh, so that punk has old beef with Oliver. At work, Marty comes across a lost and found box, where he finds an old smart tablet. As he opens the tablet, the lights start flickering in his booth, and a gust of wind slams open its door, startling him. It looks like it's a cursed tablet. Let's just hope Marty doesn't take it home and gives it to his son. But unfortunately, he does exactly that. Like any child nowadays, Oliver gets instantly hooked to the tablet and explores its features. He starts playing with the camera filter application that allows you to superimpose different masks onto your face. Of course, he selects the ghost mask and goofs around, but gets frightened when another face appears behind him. The next day, he asks his mom if dad has moved out, but the tablet replies by itself. Oliver gets startled, but then asks who he is talking to. The tablet responds that it is Larry. Larry tells him that he wants to be Oliver's friend. Frightened, Oliver hides the tablet in the staircase cabinet. Later that night, Sarah's old friend Jennifer brings her son Byron and his friends Mateo and Zach. Sarah swallowed her pride and made up with Jennifer, so Oliver could have a sleepover with the boys. That's a good thought, but these boys aren't the best kids for Byron to have a sleepover with. The boys sleep with Oliver in the living room, but they have a hard time sleeping, as Oliver keeps staring at the staircase cabinet, making strange noises. Mateo speculates that perhaps Oliver's secret candy stash closet, and Byron quickly decides to investigate. Kids and their imagination. He comes across the tablet. Oliver tries to stop them from opening the tablet, but the boys push him away. They come across the Misunderstood Monsters app. Byron reads out Larry's story, and Oliver retreats in fear. As Byron reads the story, strange things again happen. The lights start flickering before eventually going out. Oliver turns on the lamp, and Byron continues reading. They are literally asking for trouble. Larry is tall, pale, and thin. He tries to hide his face. He isn't from the world, you know. Larry comes from another place. He needs you to know his whole story to turn those windows into doors. Suddenly, the lamp bulb starts popping, one by one, freaking the boys out. They then hear a strange noise coming from a corner. Oliver picks up the tablet and turns on the camera. He notices Larry the monster crouching and hiding in the corner. Byron snatches the tablet and continues to read the story, despite the other kids' protest. Larry has looked through the glass and found you staring back. He understands your loneliness, and a true friend is what you lack. Will you be Larry's friend? Byron then goes to the corner to prove that Larry is just their imagination. However, Larry attacks him and pins him on the wall with the dining table. The boys start screaming for help. Sarah rushes downstairs and finds Byron trapped between the table and the wall. Later, the boys' parents arrive to pick up their traumatized children. Mateo blames the whole thing on Oliver and calls him a freak. After everyone leaves, Sarah scolds poor Oliver for trying to harm Byron, but Oliver denies harming anyone and crawls into a corner. He starts humming the SpongeBob theme song to keep himself from crying. Sarah instantly regrets and admits that maybe she shouldn't have pushed him to have friends over just yet. The next day, Sarah starts replacing the damaged light bulbs. However, she gets intrigued by Oliver's tablet. She opens the tablet and starts reading the story. Lo and behold, the lights in the other room start to flicker. She puts down the tablet and fixes the light. When she returns to the living room, to her astonishment, she learns that the defunct light bulbs have already been replaced with new ones. She then hears the monster's footsteps. Scared, she grabs a knife and orders Larry to present himself. Larry responds through the tablet to Sarah and tells her to say goodbye to Oliver. Freaked out, she tapes the cameras of the tablet and tells him that she won't let anyone hurt his son. Larry responds that he will not hurt Oliver, but take him instead. Oh no, he didn't. Those are fighting words for any mother. Fearing for her son's life, Sarah immediately rushes to Oliver's school. Fortunately, she finds him safe and sound. As she takes Oliver with him, Sarah gets a call from Jennifer and quickly rushes to her home with him. Jennifer reveals that Byron hasn't talked since he came back from the sleepover. Oliver plays Byron the video where Squidward apologizes to SpongeBob, seemingly apologizing for what happened to Byron during the sleepover. Byron suddenly starts talking and reveals that it was Larry who tried to harm him, not Oliver. Sarah recognizes Larry's name from the story. Jennifer speculates that the kids must have played make-believe, but Byron responds that he could feel Larry's hand around his neck and it was trying to kill him. Scared, Sarah returns home and decides to take Oliver to his dad's place. As a safety measure, she asks Oliver to pack his bag and leave behind all the screens. However, Larry lures the boy to the tablet. Just as Oliver turns on the tablet, Larry appears and leads Oliver to his room. Larry offers Oliver a SpongeBob toy and beckons him. Well, not exactly SpongeBob, but kind of. But when Sarah calls out for Oliver, Larry disappears. Oliver takes the SpongeBob and the tablet to his dad's place. Sarah tells Marty about the strange occurrences, but he believes that they are her imagination due to sleep deprivation. He asks her to have some rest and takes Oliver to his night shift parking lot job. Marty finds the tablet in Oliver's bag and starts to go through the misunderstood monsters to see for himself what all the fuss is about. As he goes through the pages, the lights again go out. He calls it a coincidence and tries to repair the light. With his dad preoccupied, Oliver grabs his laser distance meter and starts looking for Larry. He points the laser at a faraway building, but suddenly, the distance drops to 50 feet, indicating Larry's distance. The distance continues to drop until it reaches 3 feet. However, Marty finally notices Oliver outside and brings him back in. Seeing Oliver worried, Marty grabs the tablet and points its camera around to prove that there's no monster. However, he witnesses Larry picking up Oliver off from the ground in the reflection. Freaking out, he grabs his son and runs back to his apartment. After having seen the creature, Marty finally believes Sarah. Marty and Sarah realize that the monster is after their son because both Larry and Oliver lack a true friend, but they are puzzled about why they can't see the monster through their naked eyes. Oliver helps them understand with a simple overlapping double-page drawing. Larry is in his own separate world. It can interact with them, but can't get to Oliver yet. Therefore, Larry wants to get to their world, and electronic screens are his windows. To prevent that from happening, Marty destroys Larry's window, aka the tablet. At school, Byron starts talking to Oliver again. He asks him about the monster. Oliver tells him that his mom destroyed the tablet, and Larry is probably gone. Byron asks Oliver why he stopped being friends with him. They once used to hang out all the time. They stopped talking after a sleepover. When Oliver punched Byron and Jennifer, Byron's mother got angry, but Byron tells him that he didn't mind it and asked to have another sleepover. But his mom played him a message by Sarah, telling him that Oliver doesn't want to be friends with him anymore. Oliver tells him that her mom lied. The two boys shrug off their mom's childish catfight and watch SpongeBob together. That night, the same app pops up on Marty's phone. He's going through the story. The story threatens him that if anyone tries to get in Larry's way of getting a new friend, they will surely face their end. Lights of all nearby buildings and poles suddenly go out. Here we go again. Marty tries to flee, but Larry traps him in his booth. Marty turns on his camera and scans the booth for Larry. He notices on the table and runs to his car, locking Larry inside the booth. He flees in his car, and as expected, the insignificant booth wasn't going to stop Larry. As he follows Marty traveling through electricity, Marty scans his car for Larry and to his dismay, he finds him sitting right next to him and gets into an accident. Sarah then gets a call from a hospital, informing her about Marty's accident. But before she even gets to finish talking, Larry takes over the phone, freaking her out. She throws her phone and all her other electronic gadgets out of her house. Larry then takes over their TV and orders Sarah to finish the story. But when Sarah refuses to comply, the TV starts going through the story by itself. And in the last page, Larry is taking Oliver into his world. Angered, Sarah grabs the TV and throws it outside. She then starts taking out all the light bulbs from her house as Oliver starts spinning while making strange noises to calm himself down. Loud noises start coming from outside. Upon inspection, they notice lights of all nearby houses and poles going out, one by one. Suddenly, the electronics Sarah trashed earlier start flickering, and Larry starts crawling out from them. After the completion of the story, Larry has finally taken a physical form and is able to move in real life. Larry chases Oliver and Sarah into their home. Sarah takes Oliver to his room and hides under his bed, where Oliver confronts her about the lie she told Byron. He blames her for taking away his friend and tells her that he wants to go with Larry. Sarah panics and pleads with her son to forgive her. She explains that she only lied to him to protect him. As Larry starts closing in on them, Oliver starts panicking, and Sarah hums the SpongeBob song in her son's ear to calm him down. Larry enters the room and starts looking for Oliver, asking him to come out. The mother and son watch electric current run through Larry's bony legs. An idea strikes Oliver, and he speaks for the first time, repeatedly saying, "Field." This naturally gives away their location, and Larry starts crawling under the bed. Sarah grabs her son and tries to run outside, but Oliver returns to the room and starts smashing all the light bulbs with his baseball bat, causing Larry to retreat into the bed. Oliver then grabs his mother's hand and runs outside. Larry tries to catch up with them, traveling through the nearby cars and homes, but Oliver takes her mom to the field next to his school. Realizing there's no electricity nearby, Sarah finally breathes a sigh of relief and praises his baby for saving both their lives. However, their happiness is short-lived, and Larry crawls out from Oliver's phone that Byron had thrown in the field some days ago. Sarah and Oliver run for their lives, but soon get separated when Oliver loses his mother's hand. Larry grabs Oliver and starts dragging him into the woods. Unable to speak, poor Oliver makes whatever noises he can to alert his mother. After dragging the boy for a distance, Larry stops to catch his breath. Yeah, it seems monsters need a breather once in a while too. Larry then extends his hands toward Oliver, asking him to come with him. Oliver must take his hand to enter Larry's world, with no other choice. Oliver nervously proceeds to accept the monster's hand, but at the last second, Sarah appears and takes Larry's hand instead. She offers to be Larry's friend and tells the monster that they both want the same thing, Oliver's safety. Sarah expresses her love for her son as Larry accepts her as his friend, slowly turning her into a monster. Poor baby helplessly runs after his mother, but Larry disappears into the smartphone with Sarah. In the aftermath, Oliver lives with his father and makes a lot of progress in his speech therapy sessions. Marty, who previously wasn't as involved in Oliver's upbringing, starts spending more time with him and gets more involved with Oliver's therapy. He expresses regret over not appreciating the effort Sarah put in bringing up Oliver. He wishes he could tell her that he is sorry, and he is trying now. One night, the lights go out in Oliver's house again, and he follows the noise downstairs. Marty also wakes up from the noise and rushes downstairs to find Oliver joyously spinning around, seemingly holding someone's hand. Startled, Marty quickly turns on his camera and sees Sarah's spirit playing with Oliver. Marty watches with tears in his eyes as Sarah tells her son, "I'll protect you." Hope you enjoyed our summary. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos weekly. Thanks.